Hi there, my name's Megan. This is my assistant S'more. And we're going to take you through a little yoga flow, specially designed for runners, joggers, those of you that are walking aerobically. These are some of my favorite stretches. I've been running since I was in high school, and I've done all different distances from fun runs to marathons. And until I started stretching and doing yoga, the one consistent for me was that I was always getting injured. And so I found yoga to be a wonderful complement to running. You can do this yoga series on maybe your off day, or even after your body is warmed up from a run. It's nice to even do a handful of these stretches. I think you'll find that you feel better in your body throughout the week when you integrate yoga in. And it also can prevent some of those pesky injuries that can keep you sidelined, which I am not a fan of. So let's go ahead and come into a nice tall seat. You can be seated on the ground. If it feels better for you, you can always put a block underneath your bottom and sit up even taller. This helps to have the hips come at least parallel or maybe even a little bit higher than the knees. We'll just be here for a brief moment. Close the eyes down and just notice your breath. As a runner, we're used to feeling breathless and overcoming it. See if in yoga you can keep your mind on your breath. And fluttering those eyes open as you're ready. I'm going to do a couple of neck rolls. So I'm just rolling my neck towards the front of my body, side to side. Stopping anywhere I get a little sticky. Like over here, I like to kind of roll out a little bit more. And then we'll come to the back. I think one of the funny things about running is we always think about, our hamstrings, our shins, what have you, but our neck and our shoulders, and I'm just gonna roll my shoulders back, can really hold a lot of tension, right? If your body's tense, then your neck can get tense, your jaw gets tense. I'm rolling forward now. Shoulders get tense. So we think about stretching our whole body. I'm gonna remove the block. It definitely is helpful. It's not just those hamstrings and quads that are getting it when we're on those long miles. So let's stretch over and have my left hand up. I can even look up to my left. And then we'll do the same thing opposite side, getting a nice stretch into that side body. And letting that go. You can keep your legs like so, or if you'd like, you can come into butterfly. And we're just gonna walk forward. Get a nice stretch into those hips. And walk back. Maybe lean back just a little bit. Release any tension that you may have there. And then we're gonna come into a V. Really thinking about the feet too in this pose. So feet stay super active, and then let's point them and flex and point. So here we're getting into the ankles, all the fascia underneath the feet can really start to hurt and ache. Then I'm going to turn and come over here and just stretch over my right leg. Spine long as reasonable for you. It's never going to be totally flat for me. I'm going to come right through center and go over to the opposite side. And then I'm going to come right through center. Bring my legs together. And then I'll show you yoga toe break. It sounds worse than it is, but it is a taxing stretch, but it is so important for runners because it really stretches out the bottoms of your feet. So first I'm gonna come onto my very tippy toes. I'm just sort of in a little squat, right? And I'm gonna make sure my baby toes are out. Just get the stretch all the way through. And then I'm going to move my knees towards the mat. And here's where you're gonna start to feel the stretch, especially those of us that wear heels, that were running a lot. And if you wanna come up, you will lessen the stretch. If you move down, you will feel it more. And this is why you will know that it got its name as yoga toe break, because it's a lot. So I'm gonna come up and I'm gonna come back down 2 more times, readjust as you need, use that breath, come back down. It's funny because A lot of men, I feel like, don't struggle with this as much. For those of us that wear heels, men or women, it is gonna be a little bit more for us. But, you know, it's good to get in there. Good for good feet health. And then we are going to let that go. I'm gonna come back a little and do a gentle stretch on the quads. Walking myself all the way forward. I'm gonna come into plank, and then I'm gonna come down into forearm plank. We're gonna do a little bit of ab work here. So let's engage through the legs. Think of the bottom coming so it's a little more flat with the back, and then we're just doing ever so slight movements, forwards and backwards. Forwards and backwards, and you will start to really feel this in your abs as you go. You're also stretching out your feet, stretching out your shoulders. We'll just do a couple more and then let that go. Uncurl the toes, uncurl the legs, coming into Sphinx pose. Nice passive pose. If you need more, you can come up here to seal, but this is a little bit easier on the lower back. Stay here for just one more second, broadening through the collarbones. Then I'm gonna take my left hand, reach back for my left foot. You can come on the inside or the outside, or you might not be able to reach it. If you can't, that's okay. Play here. If you can, come into this. If your hand is on the inside of your foot, I think you'll feel it more in the shoulder. I know I certainly do. And think of the foot engaging into the hand, so you're not splaying out like that. That's not gonna be good for the knee. And then let that go, opposite side. Down, nice stretch through the quad. I have to say my quads are probably my tightest muscle. But it does feel good as they slowly over time start to loosen up. So we'll go ahead and let that go. Coming all the way up into up dog, feeling a nice stretch. Feel free to move the hips side to side here. Tuck the toes under. Walk all the way back and roll up. We'll do one more active plank sort of roll out pose to really warm up the body. So we're gonna move our hands down to the ground, walk out. I call this inchworm. I believe this is a move from PE, 6th grade PE flashbacks. And we roll up, let's do it again. Back down, we'll just do this a total of 3 times. If you want to add a little more, you can do a push-up here. Coming all the way up. I'll show you if this is too much for you. Come down, and as you get here, you can always drop the knees. Come out. You want to try a push-up or skip all that together. And we roll up. Whenever something is too much, what can I drop? There's a great example. I can drop my knees. So now I'm gonna come up to the front of the mat. We're gonna do a nice flow. So I'm gonna reach up to the ceiling, hands high, forward fold down. We'll inhale, halfway lift, flat back, hands plant, step back. Chaturanga, so the elbows stay towards the side of the body. We're gonna reach up into up dog, push back into downward facing dog. Right leg comes up high, and then we sweep it through under our body, and we come all the way up into warrior one. Take a beat here with your warrior one. Maybe manually move your hips so they face the front of your mat. And look at your feet. They don't need to be on a tightrope. Think of them more on railroad tracks. So give those hips some space, right? It's gonna feel a lot better in your body. So you reach up high, maybe come a little deeper into warrior one. Open up into warrior two. Here my toes are facing the front of my mat. My back foot is parallel with the back of the mat. So the length of the foot is parallel with the back of the mat. Again, if you feel comfortable doing so, start to move that hip out, move the hip up, the knee out. You can deepen into that stretch. Arms come long, Drishti looks towards the center finger. And now we're gonna reverse. Feel a really nice stretch through the side. gonna come down into runner's lunge. So appropriate. Here we are. My hands frame either side of my foot. And I'm feeling a nice stretch. Back leg is really activated. I'm gonna put my hands down and then come into standing splits. So that back leg is super elevated and engaged. Hands can come down to the mat. Hands can also come to a block. Can definitely work here. Letting that go. Coming back to our runner's lunge. Front foot goes back to meet the back foot. And then we're gonna chaturanga, up dog, downward facing dog. Let's do that the opposite side now. So left side, left foot goes up. We swing through. Come all the way up into that warrior one. Again, I'm gonna help myself with a little hip rotation. Reach up to the sky, maybe even look up. And then move into warrior two. As much as you feel comfortable getting into that lunge, keeping this back leg really active, stretching through. Go ahead and reverse. We come down, hands frame the front foot into that runner's lunge, super active. Come up, activate that nice standing split. Come back down into runner's lunge. Front foot will go back to meet the back as we chaturanga, up dog, downward facing dog. Now here you can jump or you can step. So jump up to the hands, kind of a fun thing to do. Flat back, forward fold, roll all the way up, mountain pose. Let's do that again, but add on a little bit. So we're gonna come up, maybe a slight back bend even. Swan dive down, forward fold. Halfway lift, hands plant. Now you can flow, so you can do the chaturanga, the up dog, the down dog. If that's too much, just push back to down dog. You can always skip a flow. Right leg comes up as we come into warrior one. We're gonna open up into that warrior two. Strong arms and think of broadening through the chest. Reverse that warrior. Come back into our runner's lunge. Really activate, hands plant as we come up into standing splits. See if you can get a little deeper this time. And now we're gonna do yoga curtsy. So I'm going to bend my standing leg and bend my elevated leg, and they come behind. Elevated leg comes behind standing. We'll do this for 3 times total. This is 2. Fingertips are tented on the mat. And 3. Step back into your runner's lunge. Front foot comes back to meet the back as we flow, or push right back to downward facing dog. And here we go again, left leg up. As we sweep through, up into your warrior one, out into your warrior two. Reverse. Come back down and frame that foot. Activate, plant that foot in. Feel the leg engage as you push up into standing splits. And then our yoga curtsy for 1. People can even do this with their hands off, 2. Let's see if I can, 3. Come back down to runner's lunge. Front foot goes back to meet the back as we flow. Push back, look forward, jump forward. Halfway lift, forward fold. Come all the way up, mountain pose. Now let's get into a little bit of squats. Malasana is the pose. So I'm gonna stand with my toes kind of facing the corners of my mat. I'm gonna come down, think of the tailbone coming to the mat, but at the same time, the crown of the head to the ceiling. So we don't wanna do this as much as possible. If this is not accessible to you, block and just hang out, because you can still feel the stretch in between your thighs, or whatever you want to put there. Blanket works as well. Okay, we're gonna do a quick stretch. So Nice little twist here. I feel this in my low back in a good way. If you feel it in a bad way, stop. I'm gonna flip sides and do it here. Nice little stretch. And back to center. Roll all the way up. Gonna forward fold over one leg. Nice stretch. Feel it in my hamstrings. Come back through center, halfway lift. Opposite side. Hands are gonna walk over to my right foot. Left foot's gonna come up to meet it. Halfway lift, forward fold. Inhale. Exhale, mountain pose. I like to think of that as a little intermission between flows. Let's do our second and final flow of the class. I'm gonna reach up, inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands plant, step back, flow, or again, feel free to skip this and go right to down dog. Reach up, right leg up to the ceiling, swing it through. Come into that runner's lunge. This time it's gonna be different than the previous flow. Left hand plants, right hand comes up. Gonna twist, dragonfly twist. Switch hands. Now my right hand's down, my left hand is up. Right hand's on the inside of my foot. I'm gonna come into a deep side angle. If this is not accessible, blocks. Or work here, right? All options. Coming back into runner's lunge. I'm gonna have my left foot come up and we're gonna go into pyramid. It's one of my favorite poses as a runner. Let me break it down for you really quick. Toes are facing the front of the mat, back foot at a slight angle. Hips are facing towards the front of the mat, and we fold. Keeping a micro bend in that front knee, because we don't want to overextend. Feel this all through my hamstring. Again, in a good way. All right, we're gonna plant the hands. Front foot goes back to meet the back as we flow and come up. Left leg up, through to our beautiful runner's lunge. We open up into dragonfly twist. We come back through into side angle. Back through into runner's lunge. Back foot up to meet the front. Kind of come up for a bit so you can organize everything and scooch back down into pyramid. Always a little tip about yoga. Take a beat to figure out what feels best in your body. If you're in a class, just let the class go, they'll be fine. You don't have to be with them every step of the way. Take a moment, because these extra moments, they can feel good and make a big difference over the long haul. Hands plant, we step back, we flow, we come back. Look up, jump or step, halfway lift, forward fold, reach up to the ceiling, mountain pose. One more time. Reach up tall, forward fold. Halfway lift, hands plant. I'm just gonna push back to down dog this time and skip that flow, but if you'd like to flow, feel free. Right leg up, left leg, or right leg through, straightening into that nice runner's lunge. Left hand down as I open into dragonfly twist. Flip hands, side angle. Flip back, the famous pyramid pose now. Back foot comes up a little, and we stretch down. I'll even move my hip in this pose. If you need less, blocks. Good old blocks. Hands down, foot back. This time I'll flow. Because what the heck, I know it's the last side. Leg up, come through, runner's lunge, open up into dragonfly twist, come back through into side angle. Here we are again, hands plant, scooch that back leg up, rotate that back hip back, micro bend in the knee, and we fold. Let that head go. I'm going to push back to down dog. Again, if you'd like to take a flow, feel free. Come back to the mat. Push back into child's pose for our second intermission. Little tip, again, if you're ever in a yoga class, I mean, if you're YouTubing it, hit pause, walk away, end the video, whatever you want. Yoga class, drop to child's pose when you need a break. It's actually a really good stretch too. We'll roll all the way up, and now we've got abs, and then a quick back bend, and then you're done. So we're gonna roll all the way down. Quick abs, I promise. But your core is so important to become a strong runner. So first, a nice stretch though. I'm gonna lift my legs up to the ceiling, flex my feet, even flex the toes, right? Like, can we wiggle our toes while we're a little kid, right? Straight through the legs. I'm gonna bring my toes now pointed out. And now my head's gonna come up so I'm elevated. And I'm just gonna do yoga bicycles with straight legs. Here, work here if you'd like. Wherever you wanna go. Just really working those abs. And let it go. Stretch long. And release to the ground. We'll do some baby ab crunches. So activate the feet. Think of the body as flat to the mat as possible. And now the only thing that lifts up is the shoulders. And we'll just be here for 20. Really great way to get into the lower abs for me. So I think everybody might feel this one differently, but that's where I feel it. And super simple, right? If you feel it too bad on your neck though, here we go. Great little way to not feel neck pain because we don't want that. Let it all go. Now we're gonna bring our knees into our chest, give ourselves a hug, because we got one more thing to do, the back bend. So back bends, first of all, if you have any back injuries, I would just skip it. You know, just like maybe you can put your hands here and roll side to side, but it's not worth it. But I think most of us can do back bends. So first we're gonna start with, I'll show you bridge, I'll show you with block, and I'll also show you with wheel. So for the first one, if you know where you're going, feel free to go there. But if you need a little guidance, this is bridge. Hands underlace under the bottom. We push the hips up to the sky, chest up to the sky. Stay here for a couple beats. And then let that all go. When I'm done with it, I like to let my knees come into the side. Some people prefer butterfly. Whatever works for you so you feel a release through the lower back. If you want to do bridge again, go for bridge. If you want to do a gentle back bend, block, blanket, what have you, whatever setting you prefer, this is the highest one or lower one, and then just be here. Or legs come straight for a little more intensity, plus hands overhead for a little more intensity. So all kinds of options, but this is a back bend. So feel good through here. And then let that go. All right, last one. For those who wanna try wheel, we'll try wheel. Hands plant firmly on the, or feet plant firmly on the ground. Your hands will as well, or you really can't do this. Hands up by the ears, and we push up into wheel, broadening through the chest, connecting with the breath still. And let that go. Hand to heart, hand to belly. And you are done. It's up some really nice, yummy stretches that are gonna feel great for your hips. Give yourself a hug. Knees come out to the left. We stretch to the side. So knees are to my left. My right hand's out to the side. I have it in goalpost. You could tee it. You could do whatever you'd like. Leave it by your side. I like to rest my opposite hand down on those knees. Give myself a little extra stretch. Through center. Move that block, opposite side. Stretch through. Looking over. Come back through center. One more little stretch here. Right leg goes straight, left leg in. Pull into you. And then come over to the opposite side. So whatever your distance goals are, I just highly encourage you to continue to stretch. In fact, when I was training for a very long distance run, I used to go on my longest run of the week, and then I'd literally go to yoga. And I know that sounds insane, but knees come back into center, left leg long, right leg to the side. But as somebody who wasn't making stretching a priority, it actually made it so I did stretch. And stretching in a hot yoga room, if you promise yourself that you're not going to try and do every pose, you sneak in the back corner, you take a lot of child's poses, you take a lot of these, it made such a difference in terms of not feeling bad the rest of the week. And I learned that tip from a professional triathlete too. So that's not just this sounds like a fun little tip, because I never would have thought of doing that. But stretching really does make a difference. As we roll all the way up to center, come back to a nice comfy seat. And hopefully you feel a little bit better. Hopefully you had a beautiful run earlier today, or you had a great run someday this week, or that you feel like it's all falling apart. And I promise you this much, it will come together for you. Running can be fickle and funny, but it's a great exercise as long as we remember to holistically take care of ourselves. We want this body to carry us for years to come, so we have to remember to be kind to it, as I know you are doing by doing today's practice. So thank you so much for practicing with me. It is a joy. If you want any more details on any of these stretches, put comments below and I will make sure to get back to you with any information that you're looking for. So thank you so much for your time. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.